I want to know, what school do you send your employees to teach them to hate your consumers so much that they're more concerned about producing a denial letter than performing the proper repairs for a consumer?
Wow. Okay. Hi, Rob. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday to you. Happy Saturday to you. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, we're grateful.
Oh, stay tuned because this one has got punch after punch after punch after punch, and you're not going to want to miss the final outcome. Rob, this is deja vu all over again?
It just keeps going. The madness just keeps going.
All right. Catch us up with what's happening on this particular case. This is connected to two other videos. We'll put links to those in the description box below. But Rob, catch us up. What is going on?
Well, let's talk about the who
Yes.
first.
Mm-hmm.
And if you throw up this graphic,
There it is.
you'll see that we're talking about an insurer rated 91 out of a possible 97. So 1 through 97, they rated 91.
Yep.
And are owned by a little further down, 93.
Wow.
So
the worst of the worst,
yep,
folks.
Down at the bottom. And once again, I'll leave it up to you, but I believe they've earned the score. So a few weeks ago, we were talking about how they kind of mysteriously remove money from your claim.
Yep.
And this was actually one of the ones that we showed. The only difference is now it's settled-ish.
Settled-ish is a technical term that you may or may not appreciate, but you probably don't want if it's your car involved.
Yeah, you probably don't want that. But let's throw up this to remind everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see that the first estimate of record, so they came out and looked at your car or did it off of photos that you sent in or whatever.
Yes.
The first estimate you get is what we call an estimate of record.
Right.
And then there are supplements to that.
Yes.
Usually 2, maybe 3. This one we're on 6.
6.
And I think going forward, folks, you're going to see even more depending on how insurers want to act. But right now, they're not acting very, very nicely.
No.
So it's going to be, and you got to imagine there's probably a week or so, maybe several weeks in between each one of these subs.
During which time the vehicle's just not being repaired.
Yeah, it's on hold. So it adds a lot of time. And if you have 30 days of rental, you're going to run out of it real fast.
Not only that, it could cost you more money than you ever expected.
Yeah. So the cumulative of the estimate, supplement 1, supplement 2, and supplement 3 in this particular case is $11,000.
Yep.
Our estimate at the time was like $11,500. And we're like, the consumer and us agreed, let's move forward with the repairs and we'll go from there.
Seems reasonable.
Lo and behold, supplement 4 shows up minus $42.83.
Where's Eric Clapton where we need him?
Yeah. That put the car back on hold because now it's nowhere near and we've got to figure it out.
Yep.
And we're talking to all these people and at one point the guest said, look, I'll take care of the difference. Let's just get my car fixed. And so...
What a horrible position to put a guest in.
Horrible. 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 There is so much to the story, I can't even cover it all in this video. But these people have been so awful to this consumer. I can't even believe the stuff I was reading.
Yeah.
Basic, reasonable requests of the people handling this claim were either ignored completely. No, they were just ignored.
The guest was cut out on the emails.
Yep. Constantly, please don't do anything. Keep me posted in the emails. And then emails are going back and forth and the guest is not on there. And she's like, well, why am I on? She wanted to be involved.
Yeah.
It's her car.
And she makes her premiums.
In the end, they only authorized $10,317, less than the original. So these first, you'll see Christy next to these first four.
Yeah.
That's an outside appraisal company that this company hired.
Who is even doing the appraisals?
So then it got turned over to in-house people. So we
Uh-oh.
think we'd get better if we're in-house people.
That stands to reason.
But the third party, they agreed and wrote it for $11,005 and basically 50 cents. The insurance company comes in and says, nah, that's too much. We're going to take $4,000 off of that. And we're going to replace it with, $3,000 and change. And we're going to come to a total of $10,000 that we owe. Plus, we're going to take off the $1,000 deductible. And the net cost to repair is $93. Ours is $12,000 and change. So the guest had to come out of pocket almost $3,000 for the repair and their $1,000 deductible.
Wow.
Let's talk about how that happens. We sent in a supplement, and ours largely did not change. There were some price differences, a couple of additional items, and an additional calibration that needed to be done to the vehicle. And so our supplement was not much greater than what we had from the beginning.
Sure.
And through all these supplements, ours didn't change until sub 6. That's when you have all your final pricing and bills that you paid for parts and sublets and so on and so forth.
Gotcha.
So we send that in to them for review. She came back and she was short.
The adjuster was short.
Yep. And so we had a phone conversation. During that phone conversation, I went over the items that she did not include in her supplement.
Okay.
And she said, okay. But what she was saying okay to was, okay, I'll research it and make a decision. She didn't say that.
Okay, I acknowledge we had this conversation.
Yes.
Got it.
So then I get an email. After review with my manager, only one alignment will be approved. I have left the dealer priced, which includes with the steering angles. I'm not saying this wrong. I'm reading it. It's so bear with me. It's a little tough. I've left the dealer priced, which includes with the steering sensor calibration since they adjusted to spec. The vehicle was pre-aligned at the beginning, repairs, and then another alignment at the end of repairs. However, with no impact to wheels and no suspension damage, only one alignment will be approved. The shop requested a calibrations, which per the invoice provided from alignment, they did the alignment and calibration, so we can only approve one alignment. I don't know what that says either, folks.
Wow. Maybe she should run for office.
We're not even there yet. Basically what you said, we did a pre-alignment, which we have to do up front, and I explain later in my response. A pre-alignment is not an alignment. It's an alignment check. And we need to check to make sure the vehicle is in alignment because it's going to require all these calibrations at the end, and it needs to be verified that the vehicle's in wheel alignment specs prior to doing the calibration.
So you do this pre-alignment
so we know
to check to see if we need to actually do an alignment. That makes perfect sense to me.
Now, if it passes,
yes,
we don't need to do an alignment. We know the car is in good shape.
Yep.
And we can carry on with the calibrations.
Gotcha.
In this particular case, it failed.
Okay.
So We had to send it to the dealer to get the alignment done.
This is not rocket science.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard. And she's calling this calibration. It's not a calibration. It's kind of a calibration. It's a steering angle sensor. You reset it to 0, and which that needs to be done anytime a battery is disconnected.
Did you disconnect the battery?
We did.
Okay.
We did. We disconnect the batteries whenever we're doing anything that we're unplugging or plugging something back in, electrical. We disconnect the battery first.
Does Toyota make that
yes,
an important thing?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yes, they do. Then she goes on to say, in-house calibration, comma. The quote given from the dealer still stands and will not be adjusted. If more was needed for calibrations we had approved from dealer, you elected to complete in-house. I approve the calibration pricings based on the quote given at the dealer, which includes the calibrations of all surround cameras. Very important, all surround cameras. I will not approve additional. The shop chose to do the calibrations in-house. While we approved retail pricing through Lexus dealership, says dealer shop, the calibrations approved were covering all calibrations needed for the vehicle per Toyota. The shop is just requesting additional money for calibrations.
Is this a money grab?
Not from me.
Oh.
Not from me. Then she goes on, one of the other items was in progress scan. She goes, included with all calibrations since done in-house, included with all calibrations since done in-house. I'm just reading it.
Yeah, it looks like a copy and paste error.
Yeah.
It's the Department of Redundancy department.
It is that department. And then the R&I of the gate include lining up for open, close, and reset. The R&I of the gate includes per estimating system aligned to vehicle. There's
who's writing this, and at what educational level is she writing?
Yeah, this is
and you haven't heard the worst of it, folks. Stick around. You want to know the definition of word salad? Oh, we got a buffet.
Yeah. She said a few important things here.
Like no.
Mostly no.
No and no.
Yeah, she figured out a way to say no to this additional calibration in so many different ways. It's unbelievable. And we're going to talk about how important this calibration is. It's not something you don't do.
Right.
She feels as though it's something, Google. So she says that all the calibrations were put on there needed per Toyota. There was never a question as to who was going to do the calibrations.
Right.
The question was how much she was willing to pay for them.
Yes.
So she decided to take the calibrations we're requesting and call the dealership and get their pricing for it.
Right.
Which in the end, for all three of them, was like $50 difference.
Okay.
All right. We were $50 more for 3 different calibrations.
Got it.
These cars are so technical anymore, and you have to do this stuff to make sure the vehicle is safe and that things operate as designed. There's a lot of safety systems involved in all of these items.
Sure.
So one thing they are not allowed to do is mislead you in order to save themselves money.
This is per the Colorado statutes.
Yes. Yep. And I'm sure there's statutes like that in many states.
Okay.
But they're not allowed to lie to you. And all these denials are really just that.
Yeah.
They're mistruths or something. The reason she said that she felt as though she paid for this calibration, which is the camera that looks through the windshield, is the calibration that is in question.
Okay.
We already had the 360 camera and the blind spot and the front radar. Those were all covered on the original estimate. The one that was missing was the one for the windshield because we had to replace the windshield.
Got it.
So she goes to, I guess this is Google, and asks her the question. We don't know what the question is. She just sent the screenshot of what it came back.
But this is an AI response.
It says AI overview right there. Yes, surround camera calibration is essentially the process of recalibrating all the cameras on your vehicle, including the ones used for surround view system after a windshield is replaced, as replacing a windshield can slightly alter the camera position and require adjustment to ensure accurate functionality of the system. It's not untrue. Many times on many vehicles, this is correct information.
Got it.
In this particular vehicle, it is not. The 360 or panoramic view
That's a Toyota term.
is different, and it's a different function than the one that looks through the windshield. And they all have to be calibrated. So I just figured she made a mistake. She read the AI, and the AI is close, but it's not totally accurate.
Lucy, are you going to do some splaining?
So I decide to respond just to get some clarity. And partly because she called my ethics into question.
Yes, they're just trying to grab the money.
We're just trying to grab more money. So I wrote back. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you'll notice that it has like paragraphs.
Yes. Yes.
And I start out with, I'd like to add some clarification to the conversation, since it appears my integrity has been called into question.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, all these emails now are including the guest. So when she wrote that, calling my integrity into question,
Right.
the guest was copied on that. So now I feel like I need to respond.
Clearly.
So I've attached 3 photos for review. They are out of the Toyota Tech information site. Sorry, I don't use Google to repair vehicles. Google's not always right.
Nothing against Google.
And we use the Toyota system to fix Toyotas, seeing we are Toyota certified.
Hey, now.
And I talk about the initializations that are required after a battery is disconnected. For those concerned, if your battery goes dead, which is really the same thing as it being disconnected, and you jump it or put a new battery in, these systems will relearn themselves over time.
I see.
But there will probably be codes present in the system, and we can't calibrate the vehicle with those codes present. We need to have a clean slate.
Codes are diagnostic trouble codes.
Diagnostic trouble codes.
Got it.
So I cover the initializations because the battery was disconnected. That has nothing to do with an alignment. I cover that separately.
All right.
The in-process scan. There's a reason why we have an in-process scan. They're used to just paying for a pre-scan when you first bring the vehicle in, and this is plugging into your computer system and checking for trouble codes.
Right.
Because we need to know what's going on from the system standpoint to understand how the vehicle needs to be repaired and what other items might need to be addressed.
Right.
And a post scan is done at the end of the repairs to make sure we're handing it back to you with no codes and everything is good to go.
The way it should be.
Seems simple.
Yeah.
There are several times throughout this process that there are more scans done. We charge for one in-process scan.
All right.
There may be several.
Okay.
So I cover that. The second image, these are out of the Toyota system.
Okay.
And I don't share the whole procedure, just kind of like the summary up front.
Yep.
The second image is a snippet of the calibration procedure for the front camera mounted in the windshield, which is significantly different than the third image provided That is the procedure for the 360 camera system or panoramic view.
Mhm.
I attempted to explain that to you yesterday on the phone. If you look at the invoice from Cooney, that's where she got the invoice of pricing,
Yes.
even though she knew we were doing the calibrations.
Cooney
She
is
just wanted to manipulate the pricing.
Cooney is the Lexus dealership here.
Yes. And our sponsoring dealership. Great people. If you look at the invoice from Cooney, you will notice they did not quote the necessary windshield camera calibration that we performed. Regarding the pre-alignment check, this is not an alignment. This is a verification of wheel alignment is in spec. I've gone over that with you already. You know that. You mentioned the steering angle sensor that would have had to have been done at the dealership in conjunction with the wheel alignment they performed. That is true. However, they would have had to do it because they adjusted the suspension to get it into alignment. So before it left, we did a 0-point calibration on that steering angle sensor.
Yep.
Needs to be 0. Can't be -6, +6. It needs to be 0.
All right.
And that's because we disconnected the battery.
Yes.
Now we send it to the dealer. We know the car was out of alignment.
Right.
Because it didn't pass the alignment check. This is all laid out nice and simple. They have to get it into alignment, and because they changed the suspension now, they need to do another 0-point calibration on a steering angle sensor. Seems simple, right?
It seems to make sense to me.
So it was done twice. Once prior to sending it to the dealer because the battery was disconnected, and again at the dealership in conjunction with the wheel alignment because the wheel alignment changed. It's a pretty simple thing.
And it can't possibly be the first time that this has ever been called into question.
So here's the response we get back.
Buckle up. That's about to get good.
And I want you to put this up on the screen if you would, because, you know, I've got 40 plus years. I'm not going to say how much the plus is
It's a plus a lot.
in this business. And I'm going to have trouble reading it to you, and I can't even really tell you what it says. I can tell you what I think it says, but you decide. Thank you for your email. However, after reading everything, so those images and everything I wrote were in a nice, tidy email.
All right.
Okay, so thank you for your email. However, after reading everything, it is approved for what we have put together. In other words, no.
Yeah, it's the first. Hell no, we're not paying.
Yeah, that's no. If more calibrations were needed, that as per my original request, the dealership would have needed to reach out to me. Keep in mind, the dealership did not perform these. We performed these.
Okay.
Yes, I read through your Toyota procedures are per the alignment that the dealer did. It was supported that align it.
What?
However, please keep in mind we only owe for what was loss related, which per our repairs and photos documented on this claim, no suspension damage was done to the vehicle. The alignment check, the alignment could have been completed at the time. And if Lexus Toyota was to complete another alignment for calibrations, we should have been notified. That didn't happen. So there was no reason for anybody to notify anybody. All supplements and work needed need prior approvals. No period. Reading through the included operations from the estimating system both parties use, R&I includes alignment of the gate to confirm it opens and closes properly while unlocking and locking properly. It doesn't say anything like that. So that's another lie. The vehicle calibrations were all done at shops versus at different facility.
Oh.
Which no support has been sent in that the calibrations were completed, comma. I have snipped approvals for SO5, that's supplement 5, and requesting prior authorization for anything else needed on loss.
Okay.
I got to finish.
Oh, there's more.
There's more. I will finalize my supplement and get it emailed over with a screenshot of payment. No period. I will also have the denial letter completed. It will be updated to reflect that final amount since I am assuming repairs are completed. Thank you. No, I'm assuming repairs are complete. No period. Thank you for your help. No period. So you were going to ask something.
First of all, who taught this person to write? This is quite possibly the worst grammar, worst usage of verbiage that I've ever seen in a professional setting. Second of all, it's interlaced with so many deceptions, omissions, and layers of ignorance.
If you can sift through it. So anyway, I want you to hang around because we're going to talk about this calibration and how important it is to you, even if you're just getting your windshield replaced because it's got a crack.
Yeah.
And you happen to have one of these cameras.
All right.
What this is saying in the end is, first off, no, we're not going to pay. This is probably the third attempt of we're not going to pay for this calibration. There isn't a question of whether it needed it or not, I don't think. I don't read that there was a question of whether it needed it or not. She says she looked through the procedures that we had in the email. Clearly, that's false. If it's either false or she's got a learning disability.
This is possible.
Or we just want to stick with the denial. I don't know. But I want to talk about this camera.
This is the Toyota procedures.
This is, and I'm just reading, I just want to read a couple of things.
Yeah.
And, they talk about notice and hint and things that are important for doing this calibration.
Okay.
But under notice, it says when replacing the windshield glass of a vehicle equipped with a forward recognition camera, make sure to use Toyota genuine part. If a non-Toyota genuine part is used, the forward recognition camera may not be able to be installed due to a missing bracket. I haven't really seen that, but if they say it, then they must have had experience with that. Here's what this camera can affect if it's not angled properly and calibrated properly.
Okay.
Here are the systems. The dynamic radar cruise control system, lane departure alert system, pre-collision system, forward recognition camera system, or adaptive high beam system. So
that's a lot of systems that are controlled by this one camera.
This one camera looking through your windshield has got a lot of responsibility.
Yes.
And it communicates with all the other safety systems.
Right.
So it's not just on its own thing. This is something that's telling other monitors to do things.
But what it is not is part of the...
Is not part of the 360. Because in the three things I sent, one was the 360, and then I sent this one also, which is the front camera.
Yes.
That's in the windshield. So, purpose of a forward recognition camera, optical axis learning calibration.
Okay.
If the installation position or orientation of the forward recognition camera is changed due to it being replaced, so if you replace that camera,
okay,
with a new one, or the windshield glass subassembly being replaced or remove and installed,
okay,
it is necessary to perform the forward recognition camera optical axis learning for the forward recognition camera to learn the driving direction of the vehicle and its horizontal axis in order for each driving support system to operate correctly.
So in other words, if you've got to remove the glass, if you've got to replace the camera, or if you have to remove and then replace the glass.
Yeah.
In any situation,
You have to do this calibration.
you got to do it.
You got to do this calibration.
What part of that does the insurer fail to understand?
They fail to understand it so much that they will not pay for it, and the guest had to pay for it.
This is the kind of stuff that we see every day, and it happens all across the country, folks. And we don't want you to fall, prey to this kind of tactics, or whatever this is.
Yeah.
Friends, knowledge is power.
Yes.
We're doing our best to get it out to you. Do your best to get it out to the people that you care about, because this is important stuff. And you don't, I mean, $4,000 out of pocket, Rob.
Just short, yeah. Just short, 3,800, so something like that. She is set up.
Yeah.
She is set up to be taken care of. So I'm not too good. While I feel a little on the defeat side here, it's going to work out just fine in the next chapter.
Yeah,
because picking up the car and paying the bill and getting out and driving it, that was the end of this chapter in the book. There's another chapter to come, and as we know more about that, we will certainly be happy to share, because we want you to know the successes that consumers have. You can't just lay down, pay the money, and go away. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't need to.
Absolutely not.
So.
And by the way, if you're doing business with an insurer, at the bottom of the insurance report card, perhaps it's time for you to consider a new insurer. I'm going to leave the link to the insurance report card again in the description box below. I'll also tag the 2 different videos that we've done so that you can follow this story from beginning to middle to now the resolution of this chapter. And stay tuned, folks, because there's more coming. Whew, what a bowl of spaghetti.
Yeah, and we're just going to keep helping people through these things, and trust me, she's on the right track. There's lots of different options she has, and we're working through them.
All right.
So with that,
happy Saturday to you.
Happy Saturday to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Hope they found this helpful, and I look forward to seeing you next Saturday. God bless. Have a great week.